Hey guys, Mike here. So, hope everybody had a great new year and a safe new year. Here we are, 2024, and I really thank you for all the kind comments and the well wishes and everything to me and my family. The same to yours as well. And so, let's make it a good year. And hopefully, I'll be able to put some videos out this week. As I told the members, I will be on the road up to some small town in Alabama to visit my wife's mother and stuff. And so, we'll see if they have good Wi-Fi up there or not. If not, you won't be seeing me. If so, then you will be seeing me. So I did want to start off. We're going to go over some charts today that really are going to make or break 2024. Okay, these stocks will definitely do it, as well as some important levels on the index to watch. I will say this coming into this, remember, this is, you'll hear this a lot, it's an election year, it's an even year versus an odd year. And some of these charts, I really want you to stop and take a picture of. If you're a member, don't worry about it. They'll be in the Discord under the education section. But, you know, this is key, right? I mean, coming into this year, for whatever it is, whether it's the elections, whether it's just an even number year, whatever's causing this stuff, normally, as you can see right here, here is the different colors. You have the composite with all elections, and then you have the composite election years after a 10% gain the prior year, which is what we're in now, right? And when that happens, you can see January, not bad, February, and all of a sudden there's a major push down. Okay, and I showed you the one the other day where you will have a 10% drawback at least once a year. Okay, that's the average for sure. Anything above that, a little different, but you'll definitely have plenty of 3% drawbacks. Now this one was interesting. Mark this one for sure, and very surprising. The S&P 500 monthly performance during election years. So this is all election years. Look at the summer months. Like, that is really surprising. And now, you know me, I like to go back, and when you look back, it really isn't true, but all of a sudden you get to 2012, and you go 2012, 2014. I'm talking about the presidential elections and then midterms, right? I think it was like 1 year from 2012 to now, maybe one, that didn't see like a 3 to like 7% upside on the S&P. I mean, it was very surprising. So I don't know what happened from 2012 on. Well, that was just the Fed, intervening obviously and making it the second greatest bull run ever. Because you look at 2000 up to 2012, none of that was in existence. Okay, and I don't really care about pre-2000, to be honest with you, just because it is a different market with algos and everybody and their mother in the market now versus before. And so, surprising. So I would definitely be marking my calendar on that one, because it seems you definitely don't want to be out of the market. Remember, the old saying is sell in May and go away. Well, not during an election year. So let's see how we're doing going into that. And so it gives you two good charts to kind of look at and say, okay, here's what we're gauging, seasonality, all this fun stuff, right? What was the other one? I actually edited this out of, I think it was Friday or Saturday's videos. It was too long, so I edited it down. But I said, how many times have we been at 9 weeks in a row in the S&P for gains, and what happens after that? Well, then I go out and find a chart for you. All right, and so this is another one. It's very rare, as you can see, to have 9 consecutive weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in the history of the stock market. And you can see after week 1, week 2, week 4, week 13, again, go look at this yourself here and pause it. But you can see after week 1, kind of hit or miss, right? And it's been quite a while. There's a big gap in between when this happens. The last time it happened was 2004. Before that, 89, okay? And so this doesn't happen very often, but when it does, week 2, about a 50-50, but obviously as you go out farther, week 4, looking good. 13 weeks out, looking good. 26 weeks out, right? That's how it always works the farther you go. And so it's really just getting through this first quarter to see, we pretty much everybody and their mother is going to call for a pullback, but it's like, when is it going to happen? The first part of it is in February, March, right? And then we start to move up, and obviously if the summer months play out, it's going to be even better in the summer months, which is kind of interesting. Now, the chart I definitely want you to take a picture of is this one right here. I mean, this shows you, when I say the market wants to go up and it goes up the majority of the time, this is the perfect picture. Just look at this. This is S&P 500 returns from 1928 to 2023. Look at 10 to 20%. It leads the pack. Look at 20 to 30%. 30, look at that. You go to the left, over the left side, not the 0 to 10, but before that, you have your negative numbers, right? But just when you're looking at 0 to upwards of 40%, and then go over here, more than 40%, you have 5 years of more than 40%. Look over here. If you add up negative 20 plus, all the others to the left, that's 6, right? But you add up even the negative years from 0 over versus 0 to the positive side, it's not even close, right? I mean, when we do the math, which I did it for you, out of 95 years on here, you have 26 0 to more than negative 40. So 26 negative years, basically, out of 95. I mean, it's not even close. And again, look at the 20 to 40%. It basically doubles what the negative year was by themselves. And all you're looking for, man, if we get from like 10 to 20, we're happy. And so this shows you the market wants to go up, which means rich people want to get rich. Always bet on greed. There's going to be the rough years and all that good stuff, but those are way shorter than the good years, okay? So sear that into your brain. Again, if you're a member, it'll be under the education section, okay? Now, speaking of the S&P, and guys, before we continue, please hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it when you guys do that for me. It helps people find the video, which a lot of new people have been. And if you like the content, think about subscribing. I appreciate all your support. Yeah, obviously, we're almost at all-time highs. I mean, there's no way we don't at least reach at them. And if we get rejected, watch 4,600 on the S&P, 460 on the SPY as the retest. That's a very, very important level. And it will be really, really bullish if we actually did come down and retest and hold that level for the bounce. I mean, that would be huge for sure if you break through that. And obviously, that's a whole different story. But just watch that level like a freaking hawk. Now, are we going to hit all-time highs, bust through, and just all of a sudden start ramping up? Well, really, that's going to depend on a lot of stocks we're going to talk about right here in this video and stuff. But, the other thing I want you to watch very carefully, which means I'll watch it for you, is going to be HYG, right? On the shorter term time frames and the hourly, we're setting lower highs, lower lows right now, as you can see. Again, if we start breaking levels, if we start to fall down here, especially around 76, that's going to be key. Let's just pay a close attention to it because, again, it's just been such a huge run. It really has, crazy. And again, we'd almost say it's not unprecedented, but it's close to it. So like we said, it's rare to have this many weeks in a row. Okay, it's been a long time since it happened. And again, what was, I tell you, the NASDAQ was up, what was it? Or NASDAQ 100, 54% or something in 1 year, which is just nuts. And as I pointed out, I mean, obviously your RSI divergence on your 4 hour, yeah, I mean, you can tell it's there. Is it going to start to play out? I mean, remember, pullbacks are a healthy thing. All right, we had one Friday, and people are like, oh, wow, this is a healthy thing. These are buying opportunities. And again, watch to see if these dips get bought up. Now, important stocks to watch here, okay? And this is in no certain order, but Google, right? This is a big pick for the year 2024. Are we going to come back down, get a retest right here, this trend line, before we start to move up? Another way to look at Google is it's just another big old wedge. If you go all the way out to the all-time highs, come down to where it bounced right there in October, and bring it up again. Are we going to come back down and retest that trend line and not worry about the smaller one? That's what we got to see. A lot of people are picking this just for an AI pick, things of that nature. And if things get back on track, I mean, obviously, Google has plenty of cash, good moats, and all that stuff. And when you look in the weekly, these are higher highs. Even though it came down, those are higher highs right there, higher lows. So still in a bullish structure right here. So we'll see if this continues to carry out as well. And then when we look at Tesla, right? Big sell-off there Thursday and Friday after hitting that trend line above. But when you look at this, remember, always looking for confluence. What do we got down here? If it continues to sell off, you got the 100 moving average. You got a 4-hour fair value. You got still not mitigated. You got 2 different trend lines which have been touched multiple times. So that would be a great bounce spot somewhere around the 242-ish area if they want to continue to push this one down. We do have orders. I apologize. It was not Sunday the 2nd. Obviously, it's tomorrow. Coming out tomorrow. So we'll see what happens on that one. But if it gets in that area, I mean, you got to be expecting to bounce in that area. If that breaks, yeah, then probably the 200 is going to be in play for sure. And you can see that down there between like 227, 230-ish, right in there. But again, watch those key levels, the prior week's highs. Again, when we pull out a little bit, we can see plain as day is just still in this big old wedge pattern. That's what this is doing. But as soon as it finally breaks the trend line above, I mean, you can bet money it's going to be a rocket launch. Because again, a lot of people are still dip buying this one. There's a lot of big bets on it going to 280-ish. When we look at Microsoft, right? Second highest weighted average in the S&P. What's it doing? Really just more consolidating, right? Kind of almost like a spring right here, getting ready to explode one way or the other. A lot of people would probably say up because, believe it or not, its earnings have not been bad. I mean, it's actually had really good earnings. Again, it's in the AI play, has a lot going for it. So this is a lot of people pick this one over Apple, believe it or not. And I don't blame them, especially when it comes to the growth they have in their earnings versus what Apple has, which is basically almost non-existent. And they don't have all these Chinese problems and things like that over in that country. And so we'll see if that one starts to move. Now, Apple kind of being the opposite, right? I mean, when you look at Apple, there's many ways to look at this. You got a trend line, you kind of go, well, I mean, on the shorter term time frame, you could say that's almost looking like, it's wedging here. That's what it's going to do. It's going to have this explosive move up. But if it breaks that trend line, it's going to continue down. You could also say, well, those look like lower highs to me, right? Some lower lows in there, okay? And so maybe some bearish market structure forming on these lower time frames, and if it breaks that area right there, which I believe is around 191, if I'm not mistaken, then we open up the possibility to more downside. Another way to look at this could be a head and shoulders, right, on the 1 hour time frame. Could absolutely be a head and shoulders. Do I expect something like that to play out? I don't know about that one. I would doubt that would play out. But again, let's see what happens when it gets to the neckline. Okay, so again, Apple and Microsoft will tell you exactly where the S&P is going. So we got to watch these two. They've been kind of dragging, all right, as I talked about in Saturday's video. Amazon, this is another big one. This is a big pick for a lot of big firms because of the cloud, right? Not their e-commerce, but because of the cloud, right? Finally got this retest of this trend line right here. It was resistance, resistance, resistance. Come down. It did successfully retest it the other day, held. If that is the case, again, that is all-time highs to your left. It doesn't have very far to go up, but it's going to have some major, major resistance. This area right here will be a beast to try to get through between like 158 and 160-ish. And if we bring up our volume profile, you'll get to see exactly what I'm talking about. That shows you a boatload of resistance for this one. And so that's one where you can see a rejection, consolidation. But once it does get through there, yeah, it's going to absolutely explode through and set all-time new highs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Again, I think Google and Amazon are like two of the biggest ones the firms are betting on just because of the moats they have, both of them in the cloud space, things of that nature. And if the economy does stay on track, these could do well. Now, AMD is another big one. You look at that, man, it's shocking to think, but that is all-time highs to the left. I know people are screaming, going, my God, look at the forward PE, look at all these different fundamentals about it and all this crazy mess. But to me, and it's just a theory, but the reason why you're seeing this one go like it's going is, one, it's cheaper as far as the stock price than NVIDIA, right? But also people are just scared of NVIDIA because they're looking at this thing going, man, it's having trouble at this area up here, but there's just that, you got bearish divergence on the RSI has been there forever. It's this distribution forming. Is it going to be a rug pull? Again, when you look down below, you got this enormous gap. And again, those gaps don't have to fill. A lot of times they do not. And it would take a major crash for this to fill. But the problem is, how much is the market already priced in? Because it's one of the rare, rare times. I mean, I still can't remember a company. Please put in the comments if you can, that had the jump in revenue that this company has had over the last, is it 2 quarters? Maybe 3 quarters now. I lost track on that. But it's just been so massive. And the question is, how is the market going to react if they finally come out with a normal quarter or even close to it and they go, you didn't increase by blah, blah billions? I mean, that's really the big question. And so I think that's why a lot of people, and I was saying it's right, why they're piling into AMD. Because when you look at the market shares, I think I showed you all that. I mean, obviously NVIDIA holds, it's just massive. But AMD is second, and supposedly they got these chips, and I'm no expert in chips. I don't even try to play around. I don't even stand what they're talking about when it comes to these chips. But it seems to be a lot of ordering going on. And so it's just a big thing right now. And BlackRock is behind NVIDIA, helping them, push those numbers up and everything. So I think that's why you're seeing a lot of people going into AMD. I bet you a lot of retail, if you could poll them, is going into AMD because they're just looking at the stock price going, oh, I can pay 140 versus 500, 600, 700. That's a high price, right? Now, a lot of people are waiting on, which most likely, if NVIDIA continues to push, probably going to do another stock split, you would think, right? And then you'll see an abundance start to flow in there. Same thing happened to Tesla and when they did their stock split. So, and people keep saying they can't go any higher. It's like, that's what they said about Tesla until it finally got to 400 and then finally sold off. But we'll see. Let me know what you think about the comments about that. Now, when it comes to economic news, don't worry about any earnings this week or junk for earnings. But when it comes to economic data, we'll have plenty of it. All right. So Tuesday, you'll have the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI final coming out. I believe the Fed likes to look at that one as well. Construction spending. And then on Wednesday, nothing too major, but you will have, after the bell opens, ISM, manufacturing, employment, new orders. So that's going to be something to look at, the PMI, and then the JOLTS job openings and JOLTS job quits. There's usually a reaction in the market when this one comes out, and these are the job reports that are a mess, right? FOMC minutes at 2, maybe we see a reaction. Again, those are old minutes. We kind of know what the deal is, but we'll see if there's any dampering as far as like the Fed cutting rates or something in those minutes. Now, come the next day, you're going to have plenty of job data, continuing jobless claims, initial jobless claims, the ADP employment change, which is usually the opposite of what the JOLTS tells you. Then you get the S&P global data coming out, which a lot of people will be paying attention to that as well. And then Friday, a lot of stuff about us. You have the average hourly earnings, month over month, year over year. And then you have government payrolls, manufacturing payrolls, non-farm payrolls, and then, of course, the unemployment rate. Will it finally tick up? And if it just goes to 3.8, which is what they're projecting, that's nothing. Okay, let's be real about that. Remember, we're moving out of the holiday season, right? So you won't be having those hirings, and those people will fall off the payrolls, right? Because those were just temporary hirings. Now, at 10 o'clock, after the market opens up, you will have factory orders and then ISM services data coming out. Remember, we're 70% services, so we need to see if this is actually going up, down, or just staying the same. And so we will have real data. We will have volume start to come back in the market because everybody's starting to come back from vacation. So again, watch these bigger stocks. Let me know in the comments what you think the biggest stocks of 2024 are going to be, as well as your thoughts on NVIDIA and Tesla and some of those others and stuff. And do you think Microsoft and Apple are fixing to rev up and start heading higher, pulling the S&P to all-time highs? All right, that's really the thing to watch out for. And so again, I'll be on the road. Hopefully I'll have some kind of internet up there where I'm going, so we'll see. So anyway, hope you guys got some out of it. Hit that like and subscribe button. Happy 2024, and I'll see you later.